Alright guys, welcome back to Urge. We're moving on in the Subclass series again into the second subclass in the new Mythic Odysseys of Theros book that just came out. And this one is going to be tailored toward the Paladin Oath of Glory.
Right.
So, brand new Paladin subclass here. If you're new to the channel or to the subclass series, what we're going to do is we're going to go through all of the abilities gained in this subclass, and then we're going to rate the RP value, the combat value, and the overall class synergy based on how this subclass is going to improve on the base class of the Paladin. So, without any further ado, we're just going to jump straight into it.
First and foremost, when this video is edited and finished, if I don't see the gladiator, are you not entertained bit in here somewhere, there's going to be a problem, because it fits like, Path of Glory. I mean, come on. As with Paladins and all of their subclasses, they do have their tenets that they are built around to kind of understand the way that character thinks, the way that subclass operates. They have actions over words, challenges are but tests, hone the body and discipline the soul. I mean, you think of it like in Theros is very much Greek and Roman, inspired. Yeah. Think of it like a soldier, a gladiator, a hero of legend, of myth kind of thing. It's kind of where this is done from in a flavor aspect, at least. Paladins also, every subclass, get their free set of oath spells. Mm-hmm. Interesting combination with Guiding Bolt, Heroism, Magic Weapon, Enhance Ability, Haste, Protection from Energy, Compulsion, Freedom of Movement, Commune, and Flame Strike. So you've got a combination of some Cleric spells, along with some other spells, like giving a Martial class Haste is kind of fun. Seems like a good use of a level 3 spell slot for a Paladin to get in there and smash some things with Haste. But
for sure.
Overall, a pretty good little spell list.
Yeah. The only little asterisk I have on there about the spell list is I feel like there's a lot of concentration spells, which...
Sure.
It's alright. You'll see there's some ways to mitigate that in some of the abilities you gain in this subclass. But at level 3, we're going to gain your Channel Divinity options. The first of which is Peerless Athlete. As a bonus action, you can use your Channel Divinity to augment your athleticism. For the next 10 minutes, you have advantage on Strength, Athletics, and Dexterity Acrobatics checks. You can carry, push, drag, and lift twice as much weight as normal, and the distance of your long and high jumps increases by 10 feet. This extra distance costs movement as normal. And then your second option, which you have, is more of the combat-focused Channel Divinity, which is Inspiring Smite. Immediately after you do damage to a creature with your Divine Smite feature, you can use your Channel Divinity as a bonus action and distribute temporary hit points to creatures of your choice within 30 feet of you, which can include you. Total number of hit points, temporary hit points, put asterisk there, equals 2d8 plus your level in this class, divided among the chosen creatures however you like. So it's nice that you can kind of split it up. Like if you're just barely hit, you can give yourself a little bit and then give someone else a bit more.
Right.
And temporary hit points are pretty good little shield edge you can give. So not bad. At level 7, we have Aura of Alacrity, or as I like to call it, Aura of Mediocrity. Okay, so you can emanate an aura that fills you and your companions with supernatural speed. Supernatural speed! Sounds pretty crazy, right? Allowing you to race across the battlefield in formation. Your walking speed increases by 10 feet. In addition, if you aren't incapacitated, the walking speed of any ally who starts their turn within 5 feet of you increases by 10 feet until the end of that turn. When you reach level 18 in the class, the range of the aura increases to 10 feet.
That's many.
Yeah. So, if you couldn't tell by the sarcasm here, not super impressed.
Wait, that was sarcasm?
Super impressed by this aura here. You can race across with supernatural speed, which apparently to Wizards of the Coast, supernatural speed is 10 feet. 10 extra feet, yeah. Which when you'll see, we're going to go over some of the races.
So 33% speed boost for the average class.
And you'll see in some of the races that were gained in this, we'll go over in another video, but they gave one of them new races 35 base movement speed. So they gave them 5. So it gives you 10 feet as a... I don't know. It's alright. And they have to start within 5 feet of you, which is kind of crazy, considering a lot of the auras for Paladins extend eventually to 30 feet. Which is, this is 10 feet, and all it is giving you movement speed, which I know someone's going to find, they're going to be like, well, if I'm a Tabaxi, and I multi-class into these things, and then I get 10 extra feet of movement, I can move like 6,000 miles per hour. It's like, cool.
Right. So you can chase down anything.
Alright, that's great.
Got it.
Other than that, not going to be super useful.
No. Finally, onto the top end parts of the Paladin subclass with Oath of Glory and Glorious Defense. You can turn defense into a sudden strike. When you and another creature within 10 feet of you is hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to grant a bonus to the target's AC against that attack, potentially causing it to miss. The bonus equals your charisma modifier. If the attack misses, you can make one weapon attack against that attacker as part of the reaction, providing the attacker was within your weapon's range. You can use this feature equal to your charisma modifier per long rest. So you can either give yourself or a nearby ally some extra AC using your reaction and potentially hit them back. To me, it automatically makes me want to get a weapon with reach in my hands to help maximize the effectiveness of that ability. But a nice kind of like supportive ability to help out yourself and other people with survivability inside the throes of melee combat. And finally, at level 20, you get what all paladins have, their bomb of explosion, cooldown sets, whatever shenanigans they can pull off. And for them, you can empower yourself with the legends, whether true or exaggerated, of your great deeds. As a bonus action, you can gain the following benefits for 1 minute. You are blessed with an otherworldly presence, gaining advantage on all charisma checks. Once on each of your turns, when you make a weapon attack and miss, you can cause that weapon attack to hit instead. So not re-roll, it's just, that hit. No, you rolled a natural 3. It hit. Basically. And if you fail a saving throw, you can use your reaction to re-roll it. You must use the new roll. And once you use this feature, it is can't use it again until you finish a long rest, unless you spend a level 5 spell slot, and you can use that spell slot to recast this ability. That is the only of all these paladin subclasses that can reuse their level 20 ability. That is a use-based thing. The Redemption Paladin is like a passive that just happens all the time. Right. But all the subclasses who have to activate theirs, this is the only one that allows you to reuse it. Right. With the Paladin, we kind of went through some of the level 5 spells earlier. Unless you're looking for something very specific, this is going to be a pretty good use of your level 5 spell slot to pop this again, getting guaranteed hits, charisma checks, and a chance to reroll saving throws as well.
Right. That being said, those are all of the abilities gained in this particular subclass. Now we're going to move on to the roleplay section for the rating.
Yes.
And a little asterisk disclaimer here to give every time is when we're looking at the roleplay value, what we're talking about is you're interacting with the world around you, interacting with NPCs, avoiding combat, non-combat scenarios. We're already anticipating you going to be acting out and role-playing your background, lore, history, fantasy, all that great stuff, how your abilities and spells function, and describing those. But when we're giving the score here, what we're looking primarily at are the abilities gained in the subclass on a mechanical standpoint, how those are going to improve on those non-combat scenarios. So, that being said, this subclass definitely has some interesting niche uses. Now, we made fun of the Oath of Alacrity a little bit, but it could definitely be used in some RP senses, like in chases and stuff. Can always be useful to have that extra movement speed. And there are sometimes some good, uses of movement speed. So we're just joking, so don't get too crazy.
And it's really, I think, more for me. And I immediately went to the book over here on the shelf, which is the original, Player's Handbook over to my left. And the fact that how much better the Oath of Ancients Paladin is, for example, of getting resistance to damage from spells, which is significantly more impactful than just getting extra movement speed. As a comparison,
let alone the range of
10 feet to 30 feet, not 5 to 10.
I'm kind of curious why it went with that, but that's beyond its own. Like, how much more would it have made this crazy if it was a 30-foot radius?
Not really.
10 foot. But that being said, on the RP side of things, you have your Peerless Athletes, some Channel Divinity options, some of your spells potentially could be used for RP, like a Commune, Compulsion, Freedom of Movement, things like that. Can definitely have some RP uses to avoid combats and things. And of course, your movement with Oath of Alacrity. Peerless Athlete can sometimes be good. Being able to jump and lift and push stuff sometimes can be helpful. And that being said, it's pretty solid. Nothing crazy going on. We decided to just go with a 3.5 out of 5. Definitely not bad, but just nothing really pushing the envelope too much.
No.
Movement speed and stuff is great, but how often is it really going to be that useful? Probably not too often, but definitely when it does work, you're going to be glad that you have it.
On the combat side of things, Paladin getting a chance. Your Inspiring Smite is a once per short rest with your Channel Divinity, but you do get to distribute some hit points to either yourself, anybody else you want to, as you see. So some flexibility there is nice. You know, again, we laugh at our alacrity, but it's still at least something, giving you some extra movement speed and giving anybody right up next to you some extra movement speed. So it's not, I wouldn't say not super effective, but it is still, you know, an in-combat benefit. But as with most of the Paladin subclasses, the challenge is getting to the end game, because both your end game abilities are pretty good.
Yeah, they're solid for sure.
Because, you know, getting a chance to give yourself or teammates some extra survivability and, you know, potentially some free extra attacks with glorious defense. And of course, Living Legend gives Paladins the one thing they treasure most: automatic hits for hit confirm divine smites.
Right.
Because when you're guaranteed that you get the hit, even if you miss, you just start cranking out the damage in a hurry.
Right.
Of all the martial based classes, Paladins can really pump out some burst damage, single target, in a hurry when they really, really want to. With, you know, use of divine smite, you can burn through your spell slots in a hurry. But if you really need to down something very quickly in a martial class format, popping that at level 20 will let you do that, along with giving you the saving throw survivability rerolls.
Right.
Definitely helping you out on both offensively and defensively. Really, the only thing that kind of held this back from being higher was the limited use stuff. Again, like your two best abilities are definitely in game, so it's going to take you a long while to get to those. Probably the weakest of all the Paladin subclasses in terms of how effective your aura is and impactful it is.
On the low end.
An Inspiring Smite, giving temporary hit points is nice, but it's still just a once per short rest ability. So you have some very cool things, very interesting things, but you're kind of limited to how many times you can use them.
Right.
So ultimately, we ended up with a 4 out of a possible 5 on the combat side of things.
Right. Pretty solid. Then lastly, we have the overall class synergy. And working with Paladins, they are half casters, so casting spells and stuff can be definitely impactful, but it's not really the primary focus, I would say, of this kind of class where you're being a half caster. But some of the spells that you gain are pretty solid. Like haste is really good on
For sure.
Melee fighters, and with that you're going to be increasing your armor class as well, so it's going to probably make your glorious defense even better, because you're just finding more ways to buff up your armor class even more to make sure they don't hit you.
Right.
Then you're able to get extra hits in and stuff, so definitely really good, especially when you get to level 15. You have to think about when you're getting hit by stuff, they're probably going to be hitting you for quite a bit of damage. So when you're able to completely mitigate an attack, you're going to be drastically reducing the damage per round that these monsters are going to be giving out to you at that level range. So definitely something to consider. And other stuff that you're going to be gaining, like your options for Channel Divinity. You have an RP option and a combat option. Pretty nice to have multiple options for that. The Oath of Alacrity, again, kind of subpar, I would say, but can be. Movement speed is never bad, right? It's just not always super useful.
Underwhelming, I think, is a good word.
Yeah, it's not bad, but it's also not great.
Right.
Like, it's just a very decent option.
It's fine.
You know, it is what it is. But I think the biggest thing is being able to find more uses for your 5th level spells. Being able to reuse your Living Legend ability is pretty cool, because it can be pretty good, especially for hit confirming, like Alex was saying. Yeah. Definitely really good on that end of things. Able to pump out some damage and make sure you're hitting. So pretty solid on that, because there's not a whole lot of 5th level spells. I think I looked, there was like 8 5th level spells that Paladins can get
in total.
outside of your subclass, 2 more, so like 10 total options or whatever.
That's a lot.
Not really a ton going on there to choose from. So definitely interesting on that side of things. But overall, we decided it was pretty solid in synergy department, so we went with a 4 out of 5 for the synergy. So overall, even jokes aside, it is a pretty solid, well-rounded subclass. Right. Just it's not really very exciting, I would say. Like it does what it's meant to do well, but it's not gonna like be anything flashy.
Right.
It's kind of like,
which is kind of interesting, because I think the flavor the title inspires, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be fun. You're like, oh, it's fine.
It's cool, but
yeah. It kind of falls back into more of a kind of traditional, like almost like legendary fighter theme thing, but it does feel kind of simplistic in its design. Yeah. Whereas like, I think of Oath of Glory, I'm thinking like a Superman pose that thing up, man. But anyway, overall a solid construction as far as what subclass can offer, but not bad. Yeah.
Well, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this one. Remember, if you enjoyed the video, to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so if our new videos come out. We'll be covering a lot more on this new book that just came out. There's some cool mythic monsters, so not legendary, mythic. They get special abilities and stuff. We also have some new races and some artifact items. If you're any Magic fans out there, there's some like Whip of Erebos and stuff like that is
Right.
actually in there. Pretty cool.
Right, yeah.
Cool stuff on here.
And they've got whole readouts on like all the gods from the cards.
those are
Are in there.
cool.
They have all their own little like write-ups and stuff. And
If you guys want to see any of that stuff, make sure you let us down below so
Yeah.
we know how to prioritize videos that we want to make. If you guys are
Absolutely.
really interested in some of that stuff, let us know. Please let us know in the comments down below. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.